Hey, welcome. This is Bill Jelen from MrExcel. I'm really excited for the things I'm going to show you today. Some amazing new tools from Microsoft. They've had Copilot in Excel for more than a year, but the things that Copilot did were not that impressive. Yeah, it could create a formula for you. Then when Copilot was able to create Python code, well, now we can get some new visualizations. But this new thing that they have called agent mode, which is really new, is the first thing I've seen coming out of Microsoft that is just absolutely amazing. All right, so we're going to take a look at agent mode today to try and clean some data. But before we get to agent mode, let's just cover a few basic Excel things here first. So what I have is a list of suppliers here. I'm going to just say it. This is some ugly data. Like, for example, Grant Holdings, we have two different addresses for them. So same tax registration number, taxpayer ID, but it's blank here. So like these blank cells really mean pull the value from above us down into this current cell. And yes, there are ways that we could do that, with, what is it, home, find and select, go to special, select the blanks like that, and then build. Now that we have all the blanks selected, a little formula of equal sign up arrow, which is building a formula that says grab the value from above, and then you would press Control Enter and it would fill all those in. But then you have to reselect them and convert to values. And in this particular case, we're only seeing a few columns. Now I'm going to show you a couple of really cool things here that we can do. First thing we can do is with these columns hidden, we can come out here to view, and then this amazing thing that's been around forever called custom views. View, custom view. And I'm going to create a brand new view here called just calls to upload. You can call it whatever you want. No spaces, of course. You can put underscores in. And that includes hidden rows, columns, and then filter settings. So we choose OK. All right, so now I have a view that shows me just these columns, and then I can go select everything. So what is that? That's home, format, hide and unhide columns. Now that shows us all of the columns, and you see that we have some blank data there. And we come in and go back to view, custom views, and we're going to create a new custom view called show all or something like that, right? So now with those two settings applied, we can now come to custom views and very quickly go to just columns to upload, our custom views, and go to show all like that, right? It's a really nice hidden feature that allows you to see all the data if you need to, but then very quickly get back to just the data that we need, for upload, right? So you can have as many custom views as you want, hiding back here on the view tab. It's a great Excel trick, not artificial intelligence at all. It's just been around forever. But if you need to see the data one way and someone else needs to see the data, like all the data, before we get into agent mode, I want to give you just a sampling of what kinds of things we have to have agent mode fix. The first one, of course, is all of the blank cells has to be, the data has to be pulled down from the value above into the blank cell. Even here, where we have brown cheeses, it needs to be copied into rows 17, 18, and 19. All right, so that asking agent mode to do the whole go to special visible cells only, and then pull the values down from above. That's our first thing. Okay, and then some errors that are in here. If you look up in the formula bar, Pete at MayfieldJonesPartnerships.com, there's no dot, right? So the invalid email format, it's missing the dot. This one for brown cheeses, we see that we have brown cheeses in Astoria and Oakwood, and then Uptown. But then Oakwood is here again somehow, right? 85 Dallas Street really seems like it's probably a duplicate of the one above. So once we get the data copied down, we'll look for the same tax registration number, same taxpayer ID, and then, a matching address. And, do I want it to delete it or just flag it for me? Probably just flag it for me. Here we have, that way I can choose. Although if I have 10,000 of them, like if I learn that it's flagging it correctly, then we'll let it flag. High tech, high tech, same website address, Manhattan, Staten Island, like this, rows 10 and 11 look like a duplicate of rows 26 and 27. But here, this one, I don't even know how to pronounce this, Phaeton Shoes. But look at the website, it's Phantom Shoes, which is somewhere else. Phantom Shoes. So Phantom Shoes in downtown Staten Island. Phantom Shoes in downtown Staten Island. It looks like that's just a typo right there, right? So can they detect that typo, maybe from the website address or what? I'm not sure. All right. And then here, MJP. Oh, okay. So that seems to be an abbreviation for Mayfield Jones Partners because it's the same website address, same tax ID, but this one here is in Brooklyn and Manhattan, and up here in Queens and Harlem. So they really are two different locations, or four different locations, but probably the same supplier name. Like they probably need to be consolidated together. And then some bad characters. Here we have an unprintable character that we can see, right? That one's fine. But then here, Oakwood, if I press F2, you look down here in the grid, and you see that there's some character between oak and wood that's causing it to wrap text, maybe a character 10 or something like that. I don't know. And then here, North Tower, that's a weird looking address, right? And again, same kind of thing there. It's 22, what is that? Ish Street, Ellis Street, North Tower with a character 10 in between. All right. So our plan when we get to agent mode is that we have to ask it to try and clean these characters and then go out and look for duplicates. All right, now at this point, like all of the ones that we think are bad, we currently have highlighted in color, and I don't want to use the colors at all. I don't want agent mode to try and use the colors to figure out that there's something wrong. Right, that's just for me so I can go back and check them. I was tempted to change everything to a black font, but actually I want to leave the font colors there so I can see that later. All right, perfect. So that's our goal. We're going to try and clean this data set and see how agent mode can attack this. All right, now, right now, here we are in October of 2025, and agent mode just came out at the end of last month. In fact, it was the day before Excel turned 40. Excel turned 40 on September 30th of 2025, and the day before that, they introduced agent mode. And so agent mode is still very, very new. I'm currently sitting here in Excel for Windows, and Copilot is going to have agent mode here soon. All right, but it's still not in my Windows version of Excel. All right, so for right now, on this day, and this could change at any moment, right? And we have to use something called Excel Labs. All right, so Excel Labs is an add-in. If you come here, add-ins is in one of two places depending on how old your version of Excel is. If you're on the monthly channel or the semi-annual channel, definitely, you still might find the add-in store somewhere like right about here on the Insert tab. But anyone on the monthly channel or any of the beta builds will have add-ins right here on the right side of the Home tab. All right, so what we're going to do is go to the Home tab or the Insert tab, wherever you can find add-ins, and you're going to search for Excel Labs. All right, and right now I have both a preview and the regular one. It's in both at this point, so you can just choose Excel Labs, and it will ask, do you want to install it for just you or for everyone on the computer? I know that this is not going to work when I click on it. I'm going to click on Open, and we get this message today that Excel Agent Mode is currently only supported in Excel for the web. All right, soon this will work right here, but for today, unfortunately, we have to take this file to the web. I never use Excel for the web. I'm always using Excel for Windows, right? And I think that's the way that most of the world works. The people at Microsoft, they're forced to use Excel for the web. So what we're going to do here is we're going to very temporarily take this data up to the web, open it in the web, and then use agent mode there, right? And this is actually a very strange advantage right now. Agent mode is going to work for several minutes. I've had different tasks where agent mode took 5 minutes, 11 minutes, 15 minutes. It does a lot of work. And, you know, they like to say that agent mode is like a very smart intern that is very eager to do your Excel tasks for you. But my kind of sarcastic take on that is it's a very smart intern who's going to use your version of Excel. Unfortunately, like I don't want them tying up my version of Excel for 15 minutes while they're doing all their stuff. So the great thing is by putting this up in Excel on the web, I can open another workbook here in Excel for Windows and keep working while agent mode is doing its thing. Now, I'm not going to do that today during the webinar, but in real life, like when I'm using agent mode, I want to, like, I'm just going to set it working and I go check on it every 5 minutes to make sure that it's still working. But being able to come back to Excel for Windows and work in other things, that to me is an advantage. And once agent mode comes to Windows, yeah, I don't know, maybe I keep going to Excel Online. That way I'm only tying up Excel Online, which is never used for me, and I can continue to work in Excel for Windows. So I'm going to make the assumption that you've never been in Excel Online ever. Now, the people at Microsoft would be shocked. Or the only time you've been in Excel Online is if you get an Excel file from Outlook and it accidentally opens an Excel Online and you immediately go to the button that says, no, edit this in the real Excel. So maybe you've been there. But let's just assume that you've never been there. And we're going to take just 2 minutes here. So we're going to go into File and then Account, all right? And look at the way that you're signed in to Microsoft 365. So this is an email address that I never use, but it's where my Microsoft 365 lives. So I need to know that name of the account, and hopefully I know what the password is for that. Okay, now this file is currently saved on my hard drive or your local network drive, but unfortunately, to use Copilot tools, it has to temporarily go out to either OneDrive or SharePoint Online. So I'm going to come here to File, Save As, and all right, Supplier's data to clean. That's good. I'm going to choose my OneDrive location here, and we'll save Supplier's data to clean. And if we want to be able to work on it both in Excel Online and here at the same time, we'll turn on autosave. For most people, autosave is the most hideous thing in the world because if you accidentally make a change to, if you open last month's report and start to type in data for the new month before you do File Save As, autosave is like overwriting last month's report. It's just terrible. I don't know why anyone would work that way. But for Copilot, we need to have autosave turned on, right? So I will close this workbook. Perfect. And now we'll head over to Chrome, Edge, or Safari. Okay, so I'm here in Chrome, just at my search page. I'm going to click in the address bar, not the Google search, up in the address bar, and type excel.new. This is a great way to launch Excel Online. If you've never logged in before, it's going to ask you to sign in right now using that same user ID and password that we looked at in File Account in the real Excel. So here I am in Book 74. I'm going to come up to the top right-hand corner and make sure that I'm signed in as the same account that I was signed in before. See, I have other accounts here, but this is the one that matches where I saved that document. So that should allow me to do File, Open, and there is Supplier's data to clean. All right, perfect. So you see I have the same setup here. I have the 2 different worksheets. We're going to be doing all of our work here on this worksheet in agent mode. All right, so I have Excel Labs up here in our toolbar. Soon we'll be able to get in just straight through Copilot instead of Excel Labs. So here is agent mode. You can make this as wide as you need, and since I'm going to type a fairly long prompt in here, it's better for me to make it pretty wide. Like I don't need to watch them clean the data as they go. Okay, so that gets us into agent mode, and now we start to think about our prompt. Okay, now as we think about this, really imagine that you're at work and you have a brand new intern who knows Excel really well, but doesn't know your business that well. And you're just describing to the intern what you need to have happen. All right, so we're describing to our intern what to do. We're going to type those instructions here. They're going to be fairly lengthy. And as I'm building these, I really like to do this in Notepad. Every time we press enter here, it's like sending it to the agent. And that's like having the intern run off to do the work before we're really ready. All right, so I'm going to bring Notepad over here. And I'm going to build the prompt here in Notepad and then copy it from Notepad and paste it into agent mode. Okay, so we start out with these instructions. We tell it that the worksheet called source contains vendor data, right? That just gives it some context. It needs to be cleaned and deduplicated. The only columns that I need are columns, and I give it a list of those columns. The other columns are hidden, right? So they're not going to be working with those. Okay, and then when columns G, M, P, and S are blank, copy the previous non-blank value down to those blank cells. In column AU, that's our email column, locate any invalid email addresses if the problem is obvious to fix, such as missing an @ sign before the final com or org, add the @ sign. Remove any unprintable characters in the visible columns. Remove any carriage returns or line feeds in the visible columns. Now, do we have to tell it what unprintable characters are? You know, it's been trained on a lot of different Excel documents, and I think it's going to know what invisible or unprintable characters are. Okay, this is the one bit of the prompt that we're really just kind of hoping for a miracle, all right? So we're going to identify and mark any suspected duplicates where the supplier in G and the address in Y, Z, AA, AB, AC, AD is similar. Now, if I knew this data better, I would probably talk about the tax registration number and taxpayer ID as being something that we could use, when we're looking for duplicates. Like I'm really worried about that, the Phantom shoes and Phaeton shoes. Is it going to be able to figure out, like when I say, is it similar? Is that enough, right? So, this is several sentences of instruction here, and we're going to go off and let our intern, the agent mode, work on this. All right, so I'm going to copy all of this data from Notepad, Control C. We'll minimize Notepad and come back to agent mode. So I paste the prompt there, and I click the green arrow to have it start to go. All right, and this, the little, I don't know, I call it a Morse code animation, lets it know that it's working. And it says here that it's reasoning. And when you press reasoning and get that little V there, then it expands the window and tells us more about what it's doing, right? So it starts off with planning the workflow. It's done with that. It's clarifying email fixes. And then finalizing the approach for cleaning and review. And now it's executing the data cleaning steps. In the past, as I've watched this work, some things that I'm expecting that it might do is that it will perform the data cleaning tasks, but then it'll go back and it'll do error checking, right? And if it finds errors in the formulas that it's created, it will plan a new workflow and then re-execute the workflow, all without any interaction from me. To have, usually we do something in Excel, like insert pivot table, click OK, and 3 seconds later we have an answer. And to give something a set of instructions and have it go off and work in Excel, like here we can actually watch it just filled in the blank cells, right? And this is pretty crazy to watch this agent working. So it had a verification step there. Now it's running additional verification. Reviewing script results. So that means that it actually wrote something in Office script to go through and fix the data. Finalizing formatting details. Office script instead of VBA. It's interesting. VBA doesn't work. I've written books on VBA, and I've done a lot of VBA tasks in Excel for Windows, but VBA doesn't work here in Excel Online. And just as they knew that this was going to debut in Excel Online first, they chose to go with Office script, which of course will work in both regular Excel for Windows, Excel for Mac, and so on. Adding a header fill. All right, wow. That was really quick, about 5 minutes. Your source sheet is now cleaned, validated, and deduplicated. It tells us which columns are visible. Forward filled the blanks in columns G, M, P, and S. For example, G5 is filled with Grand Holdings. It cleaned all visible columns For example, oak, and then that \n is the line feed. Although it changed it to Oakwood, right? So it took that. So it was oak, alt enter wood, and I'm going to clean that just to Oakwood. Like I have to go actually see what they did. They put a space in. Is that right or not? I'm not sure. And then in email, it looked for missing @ before final com or org. And then they created a notes section where items still failing a basic email pattern were flagged. Suspected duplicates were identified based on supplier G, the address, and Y through AD. They now added a notes column. So they say to look at 10, 26, 22, and 28. Why am I writing that down? I don't know. 22, 28. And then they are telling us to review the column added notes to capture issues. All right. How I did it. The short version of how I did it. It hid all non-required columns and added a notes column to record issues. Forward-filled columns G, M, P, and S were blank. Clean strings in the visible columns by removing carriage return and line feed and trimming spaces. Oh, there were some extra spaces. Validated column AU with a basic email pattern. Flagged anything still invalid. Mark suspected duplicates using normalized text plus a small edit distance text across supplier and address. So when I said obvious email fix, they're limited to adding @ where no @ exists. Other malformed emails are flagged but not changed. Well, that's good. At least we can go look for those. Duplicate detection uses light fuzzy matching, small name, address, edit distance. You can instruct me to tighten or relax the sensitivity. That's interesting. So it's offering to go back. And then what to do. Go look in column AY. Look for duplicate rows 10, 26, 22, 28 for suspected duplicates. And they got rid of a carriage return. Actually, yeah, so if I would replace those carriage returns with nothing, the space is actually better. And they're offering, I love this. It's like the best intern, because when I used to have an intern, the intern would do the bare minimum, right? And I would have to go check the work. But this intern always comes back and gives me ideas like, hey, do you want me to go do this? Here are some other things I can do, which just amazes me all the time. And then here under show details, let's see what we get there. All right, so boy, even more steps. Okay, now this panel over here, this panel impresses the heck out of me, all right? Because normally someone does the task and you're like, okay, well, how'd you do this? And they're like thinking to try and remember it. Then we have the little copy icon here. So I'm going to copy this. I'm going to open a program that you probably have on your computer. It comes free with Excel called Microsoft Word. I know you've never been in it, but that's okay. It's for people who can't type their letters in Excel, apparently, right? And I'm going to paste, Control V, right? And if we look down here at the status bar in Word, so we have 4 pages of documentation. What happened, all the steps that it took, what it did, which is amazing. Like usually if you have an intern, they just end up with, you get a work product and you have no idea how it actually happened. Now, what's interesting here, I could ask for them to do further things, but as far as what's written in Excel Labs in that panel, when I close this workbook, that's going to be lost. And we've talked to Microsoft saying that we really need a way to be able to pull that history up, and it needs to be all of the history. Like currently in Copilot, you can get history, but it's only like a half a page of history. And I've seen this generate 17 pages of documentation in one task. And, like that's, you need to be able to get that into, like what I did is copied it into Word. All right, so we come over here and look. All right, so invalid AU email. All right, so partnership.com didn't actually fix it, it just flagged it. It thinks that this is a suspected duplicate with row 26 and row 27, so it's up to me to go look at those. All right, now, if we find that it actually is finding them. High tech, this is Manhattan and Staten Island. All right, that looks good. So I'm going to delete those rows, or maybe mark them for deletion. I'll try Control 5 here for strike through row, and then I can get those later. The reason I'm leaving them there is because if I would delete rows, let's say 9 and 10, then all of the row numbers are going to be off here in the notes. Probably would have been better to ask agent mode to actually go through and highlight something in a particular color, highlight the duplicates in a particular color, or something like that. Let's go off script here a little bit and try that. This is great. Can you mark the suspected duplicates by formatting column G with an orange fill color? All right, so it's reasoning. Again, I always like to open this up just to see more about what it's doing. Setting a conditional formatting rule in column G to highlight cells with suspected duplicates. Wow, that's really wild. Like, I just wanted it to go through and use an orange font. All right, so now they applied a light orange fill to G4 to G43 whenever AY says a suspected duplicate. All right, interesting. Okay, so that's an interesting approach, not probably how I would have done it. But now that those are applied, I can actually come here and delete things. All right, did you see what I just did? I don't know if you noticed that. I tried to use a Windows, a Windows shortcut key, and now I'm super annoyed that I'm in Excel Online where the shortcut keys that I know and love don't work, right? So at this point, I'm feeling pretty good about this. Like, I feel like it's done its job, and that was, just a fine little foray into Excel Online right now. I'm gonna close Excel Labs. I'm going to come up here, even though it's auto saving. Yeah, I guess it's auto saving, right? So we're actually good. It says last saved just now, right? So at this point, we can close Excel, which means close the browser tab, and then come back to the real Excel for Windows. And then for my recent files, suppliers data to clean. Oh yeah, nice. All the formatting came through. This is great. I'm now back in regular Excel. I never have to go to Excel Online with this file again. I'll turn autosave off, right? So that way everything is great. And it looks like, I just need to now go through and look at these things that are in orange and see if they're actual duplicates. And if so, I can delete them very easily. Oh, good. It found Phantom shoes and Phaeton shoes, right? That's impressive that, they talked about it had a pretty close similarity. So I'm glad that I was able to find that, and, look at me. I'm actually like surprised by what it's doing here. So that's good. Down here we have Park Supplies in Harlem, and that is a match with Park Supplies in Harlem here. The Staten Island one, though, it did not mark, which is great. So I'll just delete this one. Should I have asked it to take this Park Supplies and move it up with the other Park Supplies? Maybe. And I don't know how important that is to the whole thing. Brown cheeses. Oh, look, here's a mistake. So it detected the end of the data as being here at this brown cheeses, but in fact, this one needed to be filled in, right? So do I get smarter in my prompt next time? Yeah, I probably do, but right now, just a simple copy and paste will take care of it, right? And then I have to watch out. This brown cheeses in Astoria matches that one, right? So I can delete that. And then brown cheeses, it didn't know to check this one because it didn't realize it was part of the data. So that's just kind of a small little bug there to check the last one. But at this point now, I've gotten rid of all the duplicates. Okay, I want to call your attention to row 8 and 9, where we have Mayfield Jones Partnership. And then down below, where there's MJP. Now, these are different locations based on the address, but still, there might be situations in the future where we have an abbreviation, and you can tell that the website is exactly the same. So that might be a case where we want to mark those as a suspected duplicate. Okay, so now this is a point where I realized that I probably could have written a better prompt. And if this is something that I'm going to be doing every day, I might as well go back and fine tune the prompt. So first thing, I get rid of all the hidden columns and I just have everything here in A through S, knowing that after we clean the data, I can use a prompt like this to get everything from the source worksheet to the correct column on the upload worksheet. So then I edited, which columns to look in here. I added a line about when finding the last row of data, use column E because it's possible to have blanks in A to D that need to be filled down. I fixed we need a period before the final com or org. And then sort the data by column A, then E, then F ascending. All right, same thing here with the identified suspected duplicates, but then gave it another definition. As a second pass to identify duplicates, look for an exact match on the website in column B, and then the names in column A to be abbreviations. For example, General Motors and GM would be duplicate provided the address in F to K is similar. Mark these with the same fill color in column A. And then in the data here, I added a new row 32 with an MJP that matches the address in Mayfield Jones Partner just to see if it picks that one up. That'll be the test. Okay, so we'll copy from here, come back to Excel Online, open Excel Labs, open agent mode, this wider, paste our new prompt. All right, and I will fast forward here to the end to see the results. Okay, wow. It took just a few minutes again, did a great job, gave me the whole details here of exactly what it did. And let's see, I don't know how to pronounce this, Levenstein distance of 2, looking for duplicate records. And I was actually surprised when I just casually had looked at this. I thought there were a lot more duplicates in brown cheeses because 23 Ellen Road and 28 Allen Road, to me, that might just be a typo. And same thing here with 82 Dallow and 85 Dallas. I mean, the 2 and the 5 are right below each other on the number keypad. If someone was keying this data in, I wonder if we adjusted the Levenstein distance, maybe with a different color next time, if it would find those, and then I could go make some calls, right, to try and figure out, what's going on. But at this point, they've marked the things. So I'm going to go through and delete those. Pause the video here. It did pick up that Mayfield Jones Partnership and MJP, the Queens location anyway, is a duplicate. And then, this is interesting because I had it sort the data before Phantom Shoes was first and was not marked as the duplicate. The misspelled Phantom Shoes were marked as duplicate. So it still knew there was a duplicate here. It's just getting the wrong one. So I'll delete those. All right, so back in Excel Online, I'll paste the second half of the prompt to move things from the source sheet to the upload sheet. Okay, yeah, that was good. It actually made some great assumptions, like starting from row 4 here and copying to row 11 here. Figured all that out. So really, like now, this notepad file, I'm going to save this. Like these will be the 2 prompts I'll use going forward. Seems like this will be a great way to clean this data. Kind of in a step 1, then I manually review, and then step 2. Eventually, we might get to the point where I'm comfortable enough with step 1 that I just do the whole thing all in one big command, asking it to delete. Although we're probably a few iterations away from that. All right, so let's send this file over then and try and upload it to More4apps.
Okay, so now that we have all the cleansed data from all the deduplication and everything, let's carry it forward and try to get these suppliers set up in the Oracle Cloud Fusion ERP. And for that, the More4apps integration is going to help, which connects Excel data or an Excel session and plugs it into your Oracle session, be it EBS or Cloud Fusion ERP. In this case, this is an example sheet of our supplier integrator in the Cloud ERP module. And this is just an example because it is a sampling of the columns you can bring together on a sheet. It's not rigid. You can add more columns if you have more information, and you can remove some of the columns if you don't really want to provide those right away. And you can tailor it whichever way to mirror or mimic any external legacy system or file that you might have to upload. So within here, you'll see that most of the columns are provided or the fields are populated, except some of them which might be very native to Oracle itself, like the procurement BU. Now, your external file might not have any clue about it. Some of the things like what is the site purpose, your external system, or any partner would not know about it, partner systems would not know. So these are things you have to populate or fill out now in Oracle. Now, if it is one consistent value, which is most often the case with something like a procurement BU business unit, is a US business unit, the organization type or the supplier type could always be organization, one single type. Your country could be United States. So for all such things, you'll notice that although the data on the columns is blank, I have seeded one default value on this gray row, which is termed as default. And what this does is, while uploading, it just copies down the value during an upload and overwrites all blank values. If there is a value here, let's say a person, a supplier is of a type person, it'll leave it as person here. But in the absence of any value, it's going to just take the value down from the default values, gray row up top. All right, so let's see now how we can plug this into Oracle. So as I said, all other things are intact here, including the Excel labs and all the add-ins and even the sorting, filtering that we saw before. But when it comes to Oracle, we need to navigate to the More4apps ribbon. And from within here, I can log into Oracle using this instance pop-up. I can pick the right instance. So the same data can be made to run through a backup instance first, and then we can come over to the main instance once we have tested out the data. Okay, I'm going to use single sign-on. The pop-up window is exactly like your browser sign-in, and it authenticates now based on your sign-on. If it's username, password, you can enter there or use your single sign-on, and it authenticates you have the right privileges and roles to perform this action in your cloud ERP instance. You have access to suppliers, and you're able to create or update. Blanket action up here is create. So let's get going with this. So let's first off look at this data. Now you can see that there are multiple addresses to a single supplier. And first off, I'm just going to make this a little unique. I've been processing this almost every day. So I'm going to just make this unique by putting 10, 27, 25, and something like a 5. This is just to keep my supplier name unique, my tax number, and all that unique. Otherwise, it's going to clash with my prior uploads. So this is just a concatenation, and all of these formulas work while uploading. So first off, let's collapse this and make it in a format that More4apps recognizes as a single supplier with 3 addresses, as you can see here. There are 3 addresses to the same supplier, and likewise 2 on this one. And there is an easy way to bring this to a format. Most extracts will be in this layout where you have repeating headers, but More4apps during upload likes it in a normalized format wherein you just have the header occurring once and the child records or the addresses roll up to the prior header that it sees. So this is the format that usually More4apps likes it in. So 3 addresses, 1 header. All right, so this looks good, ready to upload. We can do a validation just to make sure things come down in the right way. So this is the validate before upload. And notice that this validation is able to bring in all the Oracle list of values, compare it with that. All of these columns eventually are going into Oracle fields, so it has to align with the restrictions on that field. And that's what this is going to check. If anything is found off, it's going to be flagged, and there you go. There are some flags here. Let's look at what's going on. It looks like it is at the site level. So let's navigate over to the site level here all the way, and it tells me very clearly in plain understandable language does not exist in the list of values. Same with the payment terms, and let's see what's going on. Okay, so this one is easy. Somebody just got colloquial with this, so we got a yep on that, and we correct that. This one also most likely is just meant to be a net 90. I can correct it right away then and there. But sometimes you might want to peek into the actual list of values that Oracle has on the payment terms. That's not too far off. You don't really have to leave the screen to peek into the list of values. It's there within this button click of the data forms. I can do a percentage and look for all the existing list of values, and it gets me everything here. Okay, so I was right. This is the only one that it might be looking for. Now that we have corrected both, I think we are good to go and upload all of these. So the validation is anyway rolled inside upload. So you could skip the validation step. It'll still tell you all the error messages if anything is bounced back, including any API errors from Oracle. Those will also be caught and sent back. So it's plugging through the addresses now. And there you go. At the end, after processing, it gives us the statuses over on the left. I can click OK, take a summary snapshot. I have the supplier numbers newly created. Everything looks good. So all these suppliers are sitting in Oracle now. Now let's go to the other side of things where I want to, let's say, make an update. I have other columns that I get information about, and I want to fill those information into the supplier master. So let's look at the other information available. I can go into templates, edit this sheet, and bring in more columns. Within this templates and edit sheet, I can see all the other columns that I really didn't pick, and it's the vast majority that I've not picked. Let's start bringing in a few of those and add some values onto it. Let's see the year established. Let's do the CEO name, maybe the revenue, and a few other things like that you can bring in. So you can add those columns, hit create, and it's going to add a new sheet. So I'm going to go to this download and update because I have a few things filled out here that I wanted to show. So here's the new sheet, just like what we generated just now dynamically with the new columns. This is the actual sheet I was going to operate on. So here's the year established, the chief executive name, the revenue, and maybe some DFF or flex field attributes that captures your ESG or environmental social governance information. Let's say you track that and you want to maintain that in the flex fields. So let's see how to derive this. One is, of course, you can find out, or you have given the information, you type it in. But since we are talking about all the AI capabilities, I wanted to highlight how you can use AI to get derive those values, find those values from the internet, and put it in here. Now we had all fictitious suppliers. I'm not really going to try it on that. I'll just get a sampling of a few actual real companies, and let's try it on that. Try to get the CEO name, the year established, and a few other attributes. So let's start there. And you can use any of the AI tools and solutions out there. I tried a few, like the Excel Labs, as we saw in the first segment. But I like the Chat GPT for Excel. How it operates is you can use AI.ask as a simple function within the cell, just like you use Excel functions, like a equals and put in the prompt, and then upper, lower, those are all prompts or functions. Use it the same way with AI.ask. So we are going to do that. And I had these prompts. It takes a little few iterations to get the prompt right. And that's why I made a note of it. So this is the year established underneath. Okay, so I'm going to copy that over to this, and I'm going to make it into a formula. Okay, let's copy that again. And I'm going to make it into a formula here with an equals, and then tab out. As you can see, it's busy for a little bit and then it finds it. So it actually, you can just put the prompt in here, find the CEO and only display the name, remove any sentences. If not found, leave the cell blank. So this is the whole prompt I had to narrow down on to avoid long sentences and the whole history of the company coming back. So let's do that again. I'm going to copy the text, put it in here, and let's take that little character out and try it this way. And yeah, we get it right. And then the third one was the ESG rating. So let's try that. And let's try it on attribute 10. Okay, there's some correction. All right, so it looks like an ABC kind of a rating. All right, so let's try that on a few more. I copy those formulas, and since there are references to the cell, which is the supplier name, I'm hoping they should populate correctly. All right, so that's really a loose search from the internet, but yeah, you can always go in. It's always recommended you go in and double check whatever comes from the AI. So it looks like these are different sources. You can actually narrow down the source for the ESG information so that it's a consistent numeric or letter rating. So probably found different sources there. So you can even fine tune your prompt to go to a specific portal. All right, so that's how you can fill up information. So let's do that on our fictitious supplies that we created. So I'll go in. So anytime you want to make an update, always start with a download. So I'll go in here, download via form. That's one of the ways to download. There's also download via sheet. But for this purpose, I'm going to just do a download via form. And let's take anything that was created today from yesterday. Okay, and then I'm going to hit download. So it should bring us back all of the suppliers I've been creating. It's about 80 records. Okay, been churning this batch many times over. Okay, and then I'm going to just go in and put the same formulas up here and just done a generic name when it didn't find anything. I didn't leave it blank. So let's do that. Let's hope that it's going to copy down that formula on all of these. And whenever it's not found, which is the case in most of these, it's just going to insert some random name, fictitious name. So I'm going to do a validate. It's going to bring down that formula down here, and I'm just going to do a selection, not all 80, because there's a limit on how many the AI.ask can do in a day. All right, so it's busy during the validation. It brings the default values, the formula, and then it's busy chugging away. And as I said, it's just plugging in some random value when it didn't find anything for a made up company like this one. But either ways, it was able to get some values, and I'm ready to go in and upload. So it did get some weird numbers. So as I said, you can always go in and correct any such occurrences. Things may not be right. Okay, so now I'm going to go in. Yeah, I'm just going to leave it blank wherever it's an invalid date. Okay, and let's go ahead and make an update. So the blanket action here, as you can see, is an update. So I'm just going to highlight this batch, small batch here. Not everything, not all the 80. We're just going to do an update of this additional information on the small batch. It works the exact same, goes through the validations, goes through the web services behind the scenes, and brings back the status back here.